Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, here to episode 11 of the Hot Zone. My name is Y4SO, your host, as always, joined by my co-host, my tag team, my duo. It's Zephyr, and we're back, folks. Zephyr, how you doing, buddy? You hanging in there?
It's been a hot minute, man.
Yeah, it's been a little bit.
It's been a while, and it's been a while. It's been a while since I've been on the Hot Zone and doing streams and stuff. Yeah, it is. It's been really busy. It's been real for any of you who obviously stays up to date with Zephyr things. Yeah, it's been really, really busy. And no, that was not country music. That was us doing our best impression of. Oh God, I'm dropping the name on It's Been a While. Who does it?
Is it Stained?
Stained. Yeah. Also, yes, this is Y4SO.
Yeah. It's probably
old.
probably the only song you know anybody knows by Stained. Yeah,
Oh,
Nick. I used to work with Nick. Nick used to produce league streams that I casted back in the day.
I also casted for ABL together, not together, but same time period. Our paths came like this close, and then they disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, guys. All right, so let's start this off with
yes.
Obviously the obvious.
Yes. So Zephyr and I did want to kind of quickly at the top of the show just kind of address a little something to everybody, because it has been what, 3 or 4 weeks since we've done an episode. we'll pause.
Sorry.
Does it fit in our regularly scheduled topics or no?
It's in roster moves.
Okay, hold on to it. It's a little tease.
Okay.
If you're watching the episode live, or if you're watching it recorded,
it literally happened the minute we started.
Stick around, because apparently Zephyr has some sauce coming in roster boost, which you can see on the left side of your screen. It's coming in a little bit. We'll talk about it. Hold on to that, Zephyr. But it has been, I think, it's been 3 or 4 weeks since we've done an episode, and we really just wanted to quickly kind of talk to y'all, the audience, to give you an update on kind of where we stand and what's been going on. The first thing off the top, Zephyr and I are busy.
Yeah.
We both have, I don't even know. Zephyr's going to fucking school, right? But he's a full-time student. He's doing the weather. He's casting. He's putting together his own full Apex circuit right now.
Voiceover artist.
Yeah, does a lot of VO and stuff. So like his schedule, pretty packed. Me, I'm covering 4 different games concurrently, right? I've got League, Multiverses, Apex, and Guilty Gear, as well as other stuff that I'm trying to do. Working on different things behind the scene, right? So my schedule, pretty busy as well. And sometimes not only one does that just kind of create scheduling conflicts with Zephyr and I's schedule, but sometimes we're also just like fucking gassed, physically or mentally, right? That's been part of like literally just one of the weeks was like I was just mentally just couldn't do an episode. So Zephyr and I's goal is always going to be to do as many episodes as we can, especially when there's content, right? When there's things to talk about, when there's things that we want to have, a say in, stuff like that, we want to do episodes. But we just want to be upfront with y'all where there's going to be times where we may take a week or 2 off, especially in the off seasons. That's definitely going to be a time where we may say, hey, it's a bit of a down week. We'll take one off here. We'll come back next week. And we will try to hopefully update you guys in a more upfront fashion, as opposed to like morning of, which is kind of what we did over the last month. And sometimes if we have a down week, maybe we'll do some interviews and stuff. But we just wanted to update y'all that, sometimes we're going to take some time off. When is the Apex Personality Dungeons and Dragons campaign? Honestly,
That is such a Y4SO.
There's a handful of people that are
Dia.
interested. Me and Dia definitely want to do something like that.
Those two for sure.
I'm in 2 campaigns right now. It's a blast. I would love to do it. But yeah, that's where we're at. Zephyr, do you have anything to add on that point?
No, I just want to say I appreciate the fact that we're literally just popping like out of nowhere after 3 weeks, and there's already a chat coming in to chat and like talk with us and stuff. Like, I do appreciate that a lot, even though we have been busy.
Certainly.
You guys still are excited to tune into the hot zone, so it's very nice. But yeah, we've got a plethora of content to cover though in that regard, because it's been 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Holy shit, we've been slacking.
Yep, we've got a lot to talk about. So that's a little PSA off the front, and I guess we'll just say right off the bat, next week might not be an episode. We'll see how thick the content is. We may push it for kind of that first week of the new season with some kind of data in on that front. So we'll see, but just be prepared. There's going to be some weeks we take off, but let's jump into the fun. Of course, right off the bat, we have to talk about playoffs. Just finished this past Sunday. Of course, spoiler alert, TSM or the Split 1 playoff champions. They absolutely crushed it in the finals. TSM were incredible in their finish to playoffs this weekend. There's a ton of different angles we can approach playoffs. A lot of things to talk about. Where do you want to start?
Oh my gosh. Like, let's just start with TSM at its core, because it's like it's the main thing to discuss. And I think like it's like, do you even get to say like I told you so to anybody? Like, between the two of us, absolutely not. Because like,
well,
I mean, yes, we both very clearly were like coming out of what was like 3 weeks ago saying, oh, TSM is currently the best team in the world, but it almost felt so obvious. And then the fact that they then went on to deliver on top of that, it's just like,
I think the I told you so just comes from the fact that people are always so quick to doubt TSM off of 1 or 2 less than stellar performances. And every time that happens, everybody uses it as an opportunity to say basically like the TSM dynasty is dead, Hal is washed, get rid of reps.
Yeah, like
Verhulst was a bust. Yeah. Like, they literally try to attack it from every angle they can. Every time TSM has any sort of dip in their performance. And then it's just like, as soon as you do that, you get washed. TSM comes out and plays their best. So I was
very happy that, like, at least for me, I said it in a tweet. I was like, when the down bad EMEA dude is like very, very clearly saying that TSM is the best team in the world, it's kind of time to listen up.
Yeah.
And so I'm proud that like because I've had those moments. Like, I think last year before champs was like a really big period where everyone was like, oh, TSM is like super washed. I remember that time period. That was crazy.
Yeah.
So props to them. Props to Hal, Reps, and Verhulst. Props to Raven. That's one hell of a fucking journey to go from like what I think Direwolves into like GMT, finishing 5th at the championship this last recent LAN, and then jumping on the board with TSM, and now coaching and therapying Hal into winning it all.
Seeing Raven pop off was my favorite part of that win.
Oh yeah, that was a dream come true. And then watching Raven tear up as Evan comes in for the interview, and he's like, what does this mean to you? And Raven can't even get through the full sentence without crying, because it's so emotional to be in that position, it's literally only been an upwards trajectory for him, but it's been just as hard to get there. And I'm like, dude, props obviously to Hal, Reps, and Verhulst for verifying that TSM is still the greatest team in the world. That's huge. But also props to Raven for justifying that he is a genuine article in terms of a coach and deserves the respect behind what was that decision. I just think that's so important.
Yeah.
And it's not just because he says I'm super smart.
Yeah, the TSM dynasty reigns supreme, plain and simple. They will essentially continue to be the favorite until proven otherwise. So, all eyes will be on them, of course, going into Split 2 playoffs in Champs. But just an incredible performance from them. And they got, and they even got better and better as the tournament went on.
Oh my God, yes.
Really, really fun to watch. Let's talk EMEA.
I do want to just because they tied it. They tied in points, even though they didn't walk away with the win. Props to Energy.
Yeah.
Everyone was heavily doubting. Everyone was super heavily doubting Energy after literally shitting the bed in Split 1 and then only showing up to the oversight finals. Remember that? They win the oversight finals and then it's dead silent from them and then they show up to playoffs and they fucking kick ass. And they don't win it, but holy shit.
Yeah. And I mean, Energy played that kind of split long ramp up because they started. They played their worst Apex at the start of the season. They really kind of dug themselves into that hole early on in the split, but they finished strong. They really started to get good momentum in the back half of the regular season. They had a solid performance in the regional playoff, and then they came in to London and they played their asses off, and they played really, really good in the finals. They were
better than my expectations.
Yeah. I mean, fifth place, drop a game in round 3. Then they win. Then they drop even in 8th place, an 11-kill game in game 5. 2nd place in game 6, going out in 12th, but still 4 kills in game 7. They had 2 duds, right? Game 3, 13th no kills. Game 8, 14 no kills. But other than that, even when they were going out earlier, they were getting value out of those games. They were playing really solid. That was a really, really good day for NRG. And of course, they're going to be kicking themselves, considering they had the opportunity to win it in Game 6, and they couldn't quite get it done. Things don't quite break their way. It's close. Yeah, and that's how it is. And that's gonna feel a little extra bad because you were so close. But you can't knock NRG. There's a reason people were calling them the favorites at the start of the split, and while they didn't quite deliver on that performance regionally because they had their stumbles, they're still an incredible team.
Yeah, it won't feel as bad though as Ascend. That's something that I know is haunting.
Do you want to talk about that moment in particular, the end of game 8?
I mean, what's there to talk about? Let's be honest. There's a lot of people who have come out of the woodwork to pick on Ascend and specifically Kashera in that moment and how they approached that fight. And
I loved the approach.
I was about to say
I was blown away that it didn't work. I
was so excited.
But they show that because they had the floating cam POV of Kashera,
you see him
sneaking up, and as soon as I saw that, I was like, "Oh, that's huge! If he could get the drop and break someone's shields, it totally changes the complexion of the fight." And it felt to me like as soon as I saw it, I was like, "Damn, that kind of feels like because of where the zone is pulling and the cover that TSM had, it was like this feels like the only way."
Yes.
They can open up this fight,
God.
right? This feels like the single play with even a moderate level of possible success. And it's I was like, damn, they found it. This gives them a shot. Because I was like, when I was initially looking at the setup, I was like, there's no way Ascend works here. And then I felt I was like, oh my God, Kashera kind of opened the fucking door here. And it didn't work out, of course.
There's so many people that sit there and they're like, why didn't you wait for the 2% on the EMP? Why didn't you set it up in this regard, in that regard, whatever? I genuinely think that first of all, anybody who's played Apex and knows comp Apex in that specific zone, it's East win. East team wins that 9 out of 10 times just because you have slight height advantage and the zone control, how much spacing you're allowed to take up is just far and above what say Ascend can do in that situation. It was so fucking exciting. Mm-hmm. I think I was with my girlfriend at the time, and I literally we were watching it, and I see Ascend and TSM in that position, and I remember I'm sitting there, and I literally look at her and I say, "This is it. This is the game's end here between these two teams." And I remember I was grabbing her, and when when Kashera goes for that move forward, which is like a split-second decision of like,
Yep.
like what I told Kashera, I literally told him, I said it was a glimmer of hope in what was otherwise an insurmountable moment.
Yeah.
Right. And it would have, I genuinely think it was the massive, like, perfect decision. All that occurred was, yes, Captain Lux brings up a point. He wanted Lufka to walk up with him. That would have been probably something that secured it even better. But also, you can go back and watch that clip. Kashera did whiff really hard on the shots there, which is, I mean, the decision, the positioning, the move forward, I think it was absolutely excellent. It is a shame that in that moment of stress and kind of pressure, you miss out on that opening, because the minute you're that far forward and you don't get those shots off, that's it.
Yeah.
But I'm proud that they took the opportunity to make that happen, because it could have literally just been them waiting. The zone pulls up further. They get choked out behind the rock, and TSM walk into a very easy victory.
Yeah.
Ascend fought for it, and I respect that till the end.
Yeah, I think they tried to make the best play available to them, and unfortunately, unfortunately, Kashera misses those shots. Also, TSM just fries, like TSM just like didn't miss, and then you can just say roller gang, but yeah, TSM took advantage of the missed shots.
I don't want to hear about the roller stupid fucking shit at this point. Everybody. The fact that someone went on Reddit and was like, "Oh, perfect example if Kashera was using a roller, how they Ascend would have won the fucking playoffs." And I was like, "Get your fucking head out of your ass!" Like, oh my god, I get it, but fuck you.
Yeah. I don't find that discussion or debate all that just interesting or compelling. I just don't really care. So it is what it is. But ultimately, credit to Ascend. They had a rough start to the finals. They finished really good. They finished really, really well. A win, second place in the last game, a fourth place, bunch of kills. Like, they really ramped up in the back half of the finals. They looked really good, and I was really happy to see them deliver, because I feel like Ascend kind of felt like TSM and EMEA at multiple different points to split, where everybody was kind of taking everybody. Well, and like they were doing a lot of good things, but it felt like everybody was taking every opportunity they could to like doubt Ascend. Felt like it. Am I crazy? It felt like nobody was really big on the Ascend train going into playoffs. The talk was about other teams, and it's just like, Ascend's legit, guys. Like, be critical of you could pick apart that final play till the cows come home, but like, Ascend,
still the third best team in the world.
They played really good. They put themselves in a position to win finals in the last game. Like, that's a good team that a lot more people should have, should be putting respect on.
For a region that missed out on getting two of their strongest teams there, Fire Beavers and Aurora, right? The fact that Ascend were one, they walk into the split, Porcupine brings it up, Lufka, new addition to the roster at the very beginning of the split, a 17-year-old young man who is proving himself for the very first time. They not only dominate as the most winningest team in EMEA coming out of the first split, they go into playoffs, what feels like little support behind them, and they finish third, right behind what is arguably considered some of the two strongest teams in the world at many given times in Apex history, both TSM and NRG. And for a region that has been dogged on so aggressively for the last like year, especially after Sweden and champs, like everyone's like, oh, EMEA is washed. EMEA is like fuck them, right?
Zephyr being your DMs later, guys. Keep talking shit on EMEA.
Yeah, the fact that they managed to do that and represent the region as adequately as they do, and then not just that, the fact that Alliance with a sub fucking Monday coming in instead of Effect, right?
Yeah.
To represent for that roster, and they managed to finish 5th overall in the world. Fuck the haters.
Yeah.
Fuck the haters. EMEA has quality teams who are just as competitive as some of the best rosters in the entirety of Apex Legends across all of our 5 regions. Fuck everybody who sits there and constantly talks about how EMEA is washed. I'm so glad that they performed when it counted.
Yeah, so kind of few things I want to say about that. One, it is very difficult to draw sweeping conclusions about a region when Aurora doesn't get to go to the event. Your regional playoff winner, Fire Beavers, don't get to go to the event, right? Like, these are 2 of your possibly 3 to 4 best teams that don't get to go. Right? Effect. A lot of people talking about as, possibly the best controller player in EMEA doesn't get to go, right? Young talent that a lot of people have high hopes for, right?
Right.
Or EMEA got kneecapped as a region in so many different facets and still came out and performed. So I think it's very difficult if you don't really have much of a leg to stand on, especially when Ascend comes out and performs the way they do. Alliance comes out and performs the way they do. Element 6 do the same, right? You really just don't have much of a leg to stand on if you want to come out and shit on EMEA. Now, granted, I do think there's an argument to be made that this was a bit of a statement tournament in so much as like NA saying we are the dominant region in Apex Legends esports. I think they pretty emphatically made a statement there. 8 of 10 teams from North America making it to finals says a lot. And the top 2 both being North America, 3 of the top 4.
Excellent. Yep.
Right? So, like, I think North America made a big statement in finals. But you cannot walk away from this thinking that EMEA is somehow, like, leagues behind them. Right?
Yeah.
EMEA is right there. They're incredibly talented, and this rivalry is going to continue to develop further and further, and it's going to be more and more fun. But EMEA deserves a lot of respect because I think they only would have done better if Aurora and Fire Beavers are there.
I think in terms of generalized conclusions, right? NA, hands down, is the best region in the world. Is clearly shown that, especially now after this playoff.
Yep.
Has some of the most competitive sets of teams when you start matching them up against anyone else. And I would say genuinely between EMEA, APAC South, and APAC North, pretty much, I mean, I would put them equivalent in terms of skill set across the board. I know some of you out there are going to go, well, hold on. 4 out of the 5 APAC South teams made it to finals as well. Everyone except for Iron Blood Gaming, quote-unquote chicken sandwich, made it to finals, right?
Which is crazy because so many had their eyes on IBG to go. Yeah.
I was shocked. I was fucking shocked that IBG got out that early. I could not believe that.
Yeah.
That was crazy to me because I genuinely thought they were like one of the best APAC South team, and then they didn't even.
Yeah.
Right. Really quick, soft aside here. Zephyr's goatee looks like it's from Ohio. Thank you.
Zephyr does not have a goatee.
Zephyr does not have a goatee.
I was gonna say that is not a goatee.
Considered goatee.
No.
This is neckbeard.
Little chin strap.
Chin strap. Either way, APAC South, I personally think has really strong top contending teams at the very like upper echelon of APAC South. The minute you start talking about 6th and downwards, it becomes a bit more rocky in terms of the quality. So that's why I put them on the same tier as EMEA and APAC North. I think if there's any true region to pick on coming out of this land, which we really shouldn't be because everyone had their own struggles and strife and making shit happen, it is APAC North. Yep. I think for a region with 10 slots and expectations with North Eption and a few other rosters, Crazy Raccoon, oh my god. The fact that they struggled as much as they did after showing what they did in what was international scrims and the split 1 as a whole, I was definitely very I don't know. I was very surprised that APAC North had their issues.
Yeah, and I mean Northeption showed up in groups, right? Second
did.
overall in points in the group stage. They showed up really, really good. But then you go to the bracket and things change because they were the worst team in winners bracket round 1. They absolutely fell apart, and they were third worst in the losers bracket finals. So like group stage, they looked wonderful, and then as soon as it was kind of do or die time, Northeption fell apart. You know, they had let's see how many kills they had. 2, 4 kills in 6 games of winners bracket round 1, and 6 kills in the losers finals. So that's 10 kills across 12 games in the bracket stage. Like Northeption absolutely fell apart.
It's really disappointing after seeing them start as strong as they did and then have their issues, because I want APAC North to be just as competitive and have representation as well. And the fact that we kind of on the tail end are looking more towards like fun 1, 2, 3, which I personally, thought they were going to do really, really well after watching internationals. But I also thought teams like Crazy Raccoon North would be up there. So it was definitely very, I guess, sad in my eyes. I will touch on this really quick. Extra slots. So it has been like people have been doing the math, and obviously we're still waiting on like what EA says and whatnot. But the math currently points to the fact that the tournament and what points were assumed, I think everybody ends up with the same amount of slots, except for North America gets 1 more. And because APAC North did as bad as they did, that slot gets pulled away from them.
Okay.
So it's 9 for APAC North, 11 for North America, 10 for EMEA, still 5 for APAC South, which I don't know how that. I'm still confused how, because they all made it to the finals, but there's someone out there who's been doing the math, and they basically showed that it didn't matter due to their placement on the final day and whatnot, how that ended up.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, this may be conflicting with literally a conversation we just had 2 minutes ago. I don't know that I care all that much about getting like another NA team in there. In the grand scheme of things, I don't disagree with that point, but I'd almost rather if you're gonna pull a seed away from one of a major region, right, one of those regions getting 10 slots, I'd almost rather that go to, like you're talking about in Apex South. Like, I get it based on the system that they set up, the placement doesn't set that up, but I don't know. I don't look at that and go, yes, now we get 11 North American teams. I'm just like, I'd rather have another Apex South team.
Especially after what was South America. Like, I think South America, even though we only got Singularity in the end for finals, obviously being the best team out of South America, there was a really great moment. Like, these glimpses of like, oh, wow, this is definitely a super competitive region. We go into losers bracket, all 5, all of them are down there in losers bracket, right? And 4 out of that 5 make it out, right? They defend against it. They take up literally 20% of the slots, 40% of the available slots to move forward. And they don't get to push further past that with what was Singularity, but between Godfire and Godfire and Singularity, and I hate that I'm dropping the ball on these names because I definitely know them. Kick, oh my god, right? They definitely, I mean, it frustrates me that we have the system that we do because it makes it harder for these regions.
Yeah.
But, I mean, is what it is. Is what it is.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to dive into from like a player, team, performance specific angle? Because I do have some things I want to hit on from like an EA side. playoffs, but like, is there anything still in that front that you wanna hit on here?
Props to E6 for mixing it up with the comps and still performing.
Yeah,
making it all the way to 9th.
fucking A.
Fans.
Shout out to what was it, Twitter or fucking Twitch chat for picking some banger comps for E6.
I think XSET energy with the roster swaps from earlier this year showed that it was very good for both of the rosters.
Yeah.
I think that's like, we talk about what was the better trade. Honestly, like, they both did fantastic. I know 2nd and 4th is obviously, you can claim whatever you want there, but still.
Yes.
The fact that XSET's still on top and the fact that XSET, oh, this is great. These super fun narratives, by the way. XSET, which was Team Liquid, shits the bed at Champs, manages to finish 4th. Ascend shits the bed heavily at Champs, 20th in finals, 3rd in the world. Super cool to see those two rosters find their success. I think those are two really cool narratives.
True.
Frex dropping a 4K game in losers bracket while you had Crazy Fears being talked about enough.
It's the flu game.
SSG.
It's fucking Jordan,
Man.
baby.
Fucking the last ride for
The Last
SSG.
Dance.
The Last Dance. Did you see that one? I'll say this really quick. Did you see that one clip where they're all laughing? They're in like Gale Station while playing in finals or something.
No.
And they're giggling with each other, and they go,
God.
"Whoa, guys, careful! We have to hate each other. We have to fucking hate each other.
Gotta keep the narratives going, man.
Gotta keep the script."
Yeah.
Misi, I will say really quick, yes, I'm casting the Pro League Qualifiers for EMEA. All 16 games on day 1 and the match point finals on day 2.
Sheesh.
And yes, the Zephyr Showdown, I will be casting it. Yes.
We don't know who the fuck else is, but...
Yeah, I can't tell you who's the other caster. You're going to have to find out. It's not Dia. I'll tell you that much. We're saving the big guns for later. Anyways, go ahead.
Dia got fired.
Your EA.
Yeah. Okay. So, God, there's a bunch of different angles to hit this from.
I don't know
where to start.
About to bring up, chat.
Where to start? First part, right? And we already touched on it a little bit. No Aurora, no Fire Beavers, no Effect.
Dua.
There is, so if you aren't aware, developers in whoever is running these events, and we know that in Apex, the professional scene, EA, Respawn are in there. They're heavily involved in the esports scene. It's not like a Counter-Strike where it's handed off to separate tournament organizers, ESL, things like that to run these events, right? Tournament organizers or the developer, in the case of Apex Legends, are very often heavily involved with the conversations with governments where events are going to take place. They are very often in conversations with governments talking about visas, making sure that players can get their visas, get to these events sometimes, things like that. Like, this is not just a roll of the dice, right? The fact that we couldn't get these teams to go feels like to me a failure on EA's part to get the job done, to get these teams that deserve to go to this event and that earn the right to go that opportunity. That, and it doesn't 100% rest on the shoulders of EA and Respawn and the esports team, but that they in my opinion hold some of the bag there, and that's really, really a disappointment. So that's one. 2, on the production side, and this is an in-event and stream thing, right? No control center. That was really like a big thing right off the bat that people were unhappy about. The inability to see the B stream, like nobody had any way to see the B stream in the building. The setup,
different venue.
The setups and conditions for the players, right?
Oh.
What
Tobrick brings up right
dude,
there in chat.
We could talk at length, right? Like, yeah, TSM always, and like, I get it, but like, come on, guys. Like, I get it, it's TSM, but like, it's ridiculous that a single group gets to play on main stage like the whole time, and you know, and the other groups kind of get bagged on that front. The setups, right? The entire discussion around like the chair, right? Coaches literally being stuck sitting in these uncomfortable chairs with terrible views of the monitors, like they're unable to
So bad.
actually spectate their players and be and you know have the information and intel to coach them in between games, because you literally just can't see their monitors is pretty unacceptable. There's also been a ton of talk, like I think Hill was talking about it, how just the rules were like changing every day in terms of like how they, you know, what they were supposed to do and not do in their team areas on stage and stuff. Like, for me, I get that Apex Legends is still, to an extent, in its infancy as an esport when you compare it to things like Dota, Counter-Strike, League of Legends, things like that have had a decade or more to flesh out their esports scene and do things like that. But for me, one, Apex has already shown some of the biggest potential to be a premier tier 1 esport in the world, right? I don't think it is not quite there yet, but it has shown that it is close and that the potential is there to be truly the biggest battle royale and one of the biggest shooters in the world from an esports perspective.
For years.
And the fact that, yes, right? And for you to have that and then also be backed and run by literally one of the biggest companies in the world. EA is huge. The money they make is stupidly high, right? They, you know, for me, that makes things like this that are so simple, and especially because, like, you know, you're not building this scene at the time that like League was in Dota and Counter-Strike were coming in, like bringing esports into its modern age, right? These things have been figured out. These issues have been sorted out. These questions have been answered by other esports. And for me, it feels like a big L on EA's part that like some of the simplest stuff and the easiest things to take care of and these questions that already have answers to them are seemingly escaping them at these kinds of events. And it bums me out, right? Ultimately, like, still hats off to EA and Respawn and everybody on the team. You still put on a great event. The tournament was awesome. But
there's always things to work on.
There's obviously things to work on, and you can make the experience better for your spectators live or at home, as well as the players and staff that are there. And I think you owe it to all of them to do it right.
I think I am happy to say, though, that it is always a learning experience. Because let's be honest, these are major events to put together. I am frustrated about the visa stuff because I feel like we constantly have to fight with this, at least the last few lands.
Yes.
But most notably, things like it wasn't great. It was not great what Noct had to work with. But there was an isolation area to play with when he did come down and get and test positive, right? That's a change. I mean, it's
that is a step in the right direction.
They
credit where credit is due. They did do that.
They did do that. There was an isolation booth, right? And it seems like things were more lax in certain regards. It's like, yes, there is lessons that are being taken here and there. Yep. They are working on it. It's just, I mean, I don't like I don't want to sit here and like bash, I guess. It's like it's clear that there are problems. I just hope that we are taking steps, which they clearly have the heart in some regards to do it. I just hope all across the board these things, especially as we get another land, split 2's coming up, etc., like we are good to go. Like done.
And I think it's important to remember that like through the through line for all of those criticisms from my perspective is the potential that we see and the desire to see Apex truly be that tier 1 premier esport, that number 1 battle royale, and really kind of take its place in the pantheon of esports. because it
Yeah, go
feels
down
like it's so
League
close.
and Dota and,
Yes.
and yeah, like it should be up there.
Yes, and if you're gonna be up there, these little things are important. You want everybody to walk away from an event like this with only incredible things to say.
Things to point to touch on. Yes, it was a Chick-fil-A sauce packet, and
yeah, that was quite possibly the weirdest thing that has happened on this show through 11 episodes. This Zephyr, it doesn't bother me that he was doing it while I was making a point, but like as I'm just having a conversation and just seeing out of the corner of my eye, Zephyr is just licking his way through a Chick-fil-A sauce packet like he had a Tootsie Pop. Like, I don't know. Can I get some
really good?
Can I get some weird chants in the chat,
They're
please?
really good.
For Zephyr, like I don't fucking know, guys.
They're really good.
We're putting out a tryout for a new host of the Hot Zone. Check out the Comp Apex.
Guys, a freak.
Facts, payback.
Also, no, I'm
Facts.
not wearing makeup. I'm not wearing makeup. Wish I was.
Yeah.
That sounds like I look pretty. I look pretty.
I mean, just for reference, Zephyr and I do wear makeup at times. Not here. I never do on this show, but like I imagine, don't you when you do like your weather broadcasts? Really? Never? Your immaculate skin.
I will say yes. I do. This is my natural skin.
Okay.
I will say when I was in theater, I did.
Okay.
But I haven't been in theater. I haven't been in theater in a really long time. When I was in theater, I had the whole 9 yards. So yeah.
I don't every day, but I definitely have times where I wear makeup
for ESA
on shows. Mm-hmm. I have a very I have a very shiny forehead.
Ah, okay.
I have my skin on my forehead tends to get a little bit oily at times.
Interesting.
And with the lighting setup that we have in the studio, my forehead will turn into a mirror, so I have to get a little bit of makeup on there to just knock down the shininess. So yeah, I've worn makeup dozens of times on shows. It is not a new thing for me.
That's crazy. That's wild. Yeah. Cool.
It is what it is. Also, yes, I agree. 704 not found. Zephyr, stop, please. Jesus Christ. Like, I'm just gonna. I'm gonna need to put out like a warning, like, hey, I am gonna post the video version of the episode, but like, dude, stop. See, okay, now I'm just gonna like turn off. I'm gonna just turn off Zephyr's video. Hold on. There we go. We're gonna just transition him out. You guys get a black screen for a little bit. Yeah, I'm gonna have to put out a tweet like, hey, if you can, just listen to the audio only version of the episode. Like, just save yourself the. Oh God, I can still see it and it's painful. Can we just like? Can you be done after that one, Zephyr, please?
Okay. Last one.
You do one more, or that was the last one?
No. One more. Okay, one more, please. Okay. Please give me another.
I'm bringing you back. If I see another Chick-fil-A sauce packet, I'm taking your camera out again. He's back. Yeah, I'm doing my best, Snaves. I'm trying.
That's, by the way, go check out Y4SO's channel on YouTube if you're really curious about seeing what horrors just unfolded. Or you can catch the rest of this episode.
It's a perfect spot for a plug, but I'm tempted to say no, don't do it.
Revelry is coming, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Revelry.
Let's talk season 16. And I will say this. We're still going to address playoffs more in like future episodes. It's still going to be something we're going to talk about.
We'll talk about
next
it
season,
for years.
But overall, banger tournament. Way to go, NA. TSM's goated. And yeah, how continues to be the best IGL of all time in Apex Legends.
Let's fucking go.
So
he deserves it. I think so.
You're not gonna get any arguments from me on that one. Let's talk season 16. You said it. Revelry is on its way, and a huge patch that a lot of people are talking about for a lot of different reasons. Where are we starting on this one, Zephyr?
Do we start with the classes? I feel like that's the biggest.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Yeah, let's do it. Let's
All
do
right.
it. Talk to me about the classes. I'm pulling up. I have the
Yeah.
patch release kind of thing up on my second monitor, so I'm ready.
Cool. 5 new classes: skirmishers, controllers, recon, support, and assault.
Yes. Good job.
Thank you. Getting ready. Holy shit. Skirmishers suck. Kinda.
Well, I think Zephyr has a point to back up why
Yeah.
they suck, but
We'll just say it right off the bat. Every single class is coming with a really strong passive now to
Yes.
define explicitly a new model of Apex Legends. Controllers get to see where the next zone is. Recon gets to see where everybody is on the map for 30 seconds. Supports get to have extra blue bin access and craft their old teammates' banners, even if they're expired. Assault gets extra ammo and some extra attachments on their guns. And then, yes, skirmishers get the ability to see what is in the care drop. And of course, the legends are distributed among those 5 classes there. But I have to say, dude, before we start talking about like, oh, what's your like strongest comps and what do you think is like really the most impressive one, I just want to say how excited I am.
Mm-hmm.
This is such like an infusion of like lifeblood and like just a really cool change for the game that I am like pumped to have and now to be a part of. And the fact that it's going to like completely revitalize everybody and what they want to do with Apex and also the other changes that are coming along with season 16. This is like a huge win for Apex, especially after what was literally a month ago. We're talking about they released the Chinese New Year event, right, trailer, and it's 36,000 dislikes to 10,000 likes.
Sure.
Right? People are clearly upset with the current state of Apex. This patch comes out, dude, not a single fucking hee-haw. Like, it has been, this is definitely one of the best changes by far.
Yeah, I think the way they've set up the class system, I think is so good because while it, just the class system like on its face probably doesn't shift the meta as drastically as you might think it would, right? It doesn't suddenly, it's not a it doesn't nerf any legends on its face. It does certainly buff kind of everybody across the board to differing levels, but I think the interesting thing is it just gives you more to think about in terms of building a team composition, right?
Yeah.
Normally, all you're thinking is just like you're just looking at the legends on their face, and then a lot of times you're slapping a recon legend in there so that you can scan circles, and that's really all you think about from a team composition perspective, right?
Right.
Here's 3 that fit my playstyle, and one of them's a recon, so we can scan next circle, right? Now with the class specific passives, one, you're always missing out on something, right? There's always at least
something strong.
2 of these passives that your team can't bring to the table because you only have 3 on your team, which is cool. Love that. The second thing is now you could look at interesting compositions, a way to put this together, and every legend brings something extra to the team, and I think that's awesome. It was always a bummer that only recons were getting that extra team utility from their class, and now everybody has something extra that they bring to the table. Now, I do want you to hit on the point that you put out on Twitter in terms of skirmishers the other day, because a lot of people were saying reveal care packages, like, and I mean, I don't disagree. Like, it's pretty kind of weak passive that I really don't care about. But talk to me about why you aren't concerned about that.
I think this is at its core. Yes, there are a lot of strong legends in Apex, but if you look specifically at who they put in skirmisher, I mean, we're talking about some of the heaviest wombo combo impressionable legends, from Horizon to Wraith, Valkyrie. Path's not that great, but hey, Path, Mirage with the buffs now, right? I mean,
Octane, the other one.
Octane, still kind of not great. I would say, as an individual character, you are going to walk into Apex saying, oh, I love these quote unquote 4 class passives. But then you're like, but my comp needs a Valkyrie. That redeploy is just so good for my team to have access to make mid rotations, right, during the game. And then you suddenly understand why Respawn did what they did. These are some of the most popular characters with some of the strongest abilities and ultimates in the game.
Yeah.
And while some you could say are a little bit less than others, it's clear to me that they did not want to pair a really strong passive alongside these legends, because then I think that's genuinely all you would see. We already know we've been dealing with Valk Horizon as a pair together alongside Seer for way too fucking long.
Yeah.
Okay? Let's tick that one off and send it far and away here. It's a minor way to balance the legends in the game without explicitly kind of throwing it at your face by, like, Valkyrie is still strong. Valkyrie's still good. There's so many applications for that legend. It's just they don't have to touch Valkyrie to directly nerf her now. They can say, well, give some really strong passives to the other legends, and suddenly now you have to make a choice.
Yeah. Yeah. They've essentially just made it like they have made possibly more enticing choices elsewhere in the legend pool. And they're like, yep, Valkyrie's still over there. Still has everything, still pretty strong, but you don't have this recon passive, or you don't have the support passive, you don't have the assault passive. You
need that.
Hey, you can see some care packages, but like, you don't seem to think that's all that great. So maybe you make a different decision. So I'm right there with you. I absolutely love it. Just for a quick overview for everybody at home.
Okay.
The classes: assault, you get more ammo per stack. For a lot of the assault rifles, it seems to just be an extra like 20. And then it's a little more reduced for shotgun
14
and
for snipers.
Ammo. I think it's 21
and then
for
shotgun
for shotgun.
Shotguns, yeah.
So you get more ammo per stack, as well as access to red bins, and these are bins that are going to work similar to the blue ones that we've had for a long time that Lifeline was able to access, where you had that little extra shelf of supplies, and this is going to give you smart loot for your weapons, right? So it's going to give you sights, it's going to give you mags, it's going to give you barrel stabilizers, things like that, and it's smart loot based on what your team has. And I think they're all. I think I saw that it's guaranteed like one sight per pull.
Guaranteed one sight per pull. If no one has weapons, you guarantee getting a weapon.
Yep, it is wonderful.
And just because it's you opening it as the assault character, it will target your entire team for attachments. And then on top of that, magazines are the lowest drop rate in it. It is going to be the least thing you find.
Which I think makes a lot of sense. So that's super cool.
I agree. Dope.
Yeah. Skirmishers is going to be revealing care packages, and that's what we were kind of talking about there. So you reveal them. I think you get to see what loot.
You can see what loot is. You can see when it's picked up.
Yeah.
That's some minor. It's not super strong.
They're easy to
you
ping.
can, maybe have something to play around if you know an RE45's coming in, and you know it's kind of, maybe it's a decision school. It's obviously not supposed to be something you base the class around, I would say.
Correct.
But still cool.
Recon, the same, but different, because Recon is not going to get circle location any longer. They're getting enemy locations from their scans. And if I saw this correctly, Recon and Controller, which is getting the circle scans, 30 seconds, these are different scan consoles.
Yes.
So these aren't so like a team with a Recon legend but no controller, and a team with a controller but no Recon legend aren't going to necessarily be fighting over the same spot in a POI. So that's important to note, that you will have different targets as a Recon legend as the controllers, who are the ones that get to scan the next circle.
Right. I will say, before we move on to the next class, Crypto, if it works the way I think it's gonna, is about to be so fucking busted.
Oh, getting to use drone
for scan.
That would be...
That's information kingdom right there. Because think about it. You're in a circle with a beacon.
Yeah.
And then the entire time you're in that circle, instead of having to extend you to scan it, you slap your drone up into the sky, go 60 miles past the fucking thing before someone can shoot it down, and then suddenly you know where everybody is.
Yeah. Yeah. That could be really crazy. So recon I think is super cool. Controller, this is just the old recon passive moving to
Yeah.
a new class. And important to note, just for clarity for everybody, Assault is Bangalore, Ash, Fuse, Mad Maggie, Revenant. I think a lot of that makes sense. Skirmisher, as we already talked about. Recon is Bloodhound, Crypto, Seer, Vantage. Should really be no surprises there. Controller, which is getting the circle scans, Caustic, Watson, Rampart,
Very
and
cool.
Catalyst. Getting
Your zone legends.
Yep. And then support. And support is the access to the blue bins. So this is not just a lifeline thing anymore. This is all the support characters. And also, Zephyr was very excited about this. Crafting banners. And if I read it correctly, if I saw it correctly, crafting if you craft a banner, yes, all recoverable teammates, even if their
expired.
boxes have expired, which is crazy. Like, I'm not mad at this change at all.
No.
This feels like the one change though that could have possibly the worst knock-on effects from it. This could be a change that could warp the game in a way that maybe we won't like. I'm holding out hope that it isn't as bad, but the potential here is kind of high that it could kind of fuck things up in a certain way. So this is one change that I'm keeping my eye on before I give like a definitive answer on it.
I will say the thing that balances support the best is the legends that are behind it.
Yeah.
Right? Because we talk about, okay, imagine you're in a situation where you have had two of your teammates go down. That means it's up to either your Gibraltar, Newcastle, Lifeline, or what I think is going to be maybe the strongest, Loba, to get the job done. And in a lot of situations, first of all, we know for a fact Newcastle and Gibraltar have the two biggest hitboxes in the game outside of what is Caustic. And Lifeline provides little responsibility herself. I feel like if you're a team who is looking to clean up, your support legends aren't going to be particularly the hardest things to target. Loba, I think, has the biggest playmaking ability to go alongside the class because you have the bracelet, you have a little bit of the sustain with that black market, and you can make end games happen just by existing in your lonesome. But outside of that, for such a quote unquote strong ability to keep the momentum of your team going, even when you think it's all over, it is balanced by what characters go alongside that.
Sure. I think that's a good point. I think this is a Lifeline buff. I still think Lifeline probably needs a little bit of love.
She's getting changes. They're buffing her. They're buffing her ultimate. It hasn't been announced yet, but the suspected changes is that Lifeline gets a slight buff on her ultimate in terms of the speed of drop down, and you no longer have that really janky when you go to revive someone, you know how you have to drift over them and all that. They're fixing that up a little bit. So there's some minor things.
I still maintain that I want them to get rid of the Lifeline care package ultimate. I would rather them design a Lifeline ultimate around her bot. Healing. That, even if it isn't necessarily healing, if just, again, I would love for her to throw out her bot that creates a, in a similar way to you've got the Gibraltar shield, you've got the castle wall for Newcastle. Give Lifeline something where you throw down your ultimate here and it buffs your team in some fashion, fighting from the location around the bot. Maybe it isn't healing them, but maybe you get a 5% damage boost here, or you throw it down and it instantly gives your team a buff to their shields or something like that. Give Lifeline that ability to buff her team through her ultimate, because the care package continues to just be boring, and also sometimes it's more of a detriment to your team than a buff because you're just announcing your location. So I still want Lifeline changes. What do you think about the Seer changes? My first take is Seer's getting bodied. I like the passive changes.
I think it's good.
I don't like the even harder nerfs on the ultimate.
No, I don't mind that. I think the ultimate's stupidly strong. I think if you get into a situation where forced movement is necessary, the ultimate basically spells victory for Seer in a lot of situations. And
Okay.
the fact that they're making the passive more of a skill-based sort of thing now, and with its cooldown, I mean, yeah, I don't mind it. I think Seer has had enough time in the limelight. We are literally numering what now at this point? Fucking God.
8
7
months.
months of
Yeah.
Seer meta? 7, 8 months of Seer meta? I'm
Been a
done.
while.
I'm done. Got him.
I'm
Fucking punch him in the dick.
I'm with you on the passive. I wish it wasn't as hard of a nerf on his ultimate, but I think
You just
we
play
can
Seer.
agree
Shut up.
to disagree. I mean, I do. I'm not gonna argue with that.
Seer enjoyer.
Anything else we want to hit on?
But we had to talk about TDM.
TDM as well as ranked. The map rotation. We're no longer getting
we're not
split long maps. We are getting. I think is it daily or is it?
They rotate. I don't know what it is, but they rotate now, which is super cool.
It's wonderful. I think it's so great,
Big
especially
complaint.
because I liked Broken Moon off the bat, but the more I played it, the more I was just like, yep, I don't want to play a split of ranked on Broken Moon, and I'm less excited about Storm Point than I am World's Edge. My desire to play ranked is at its peak on World's Edge, and it's at its valley when Broken Moon is out, and the fact that things will change on a regular basis so that I'm not just like bailing for an entire split is awesome. That's a great change. Yeah, talk about team deathmatch.
Guys, we got TDM finally. 6v6. First 30 kills, 2 rounds you win. That's fuck it. It's like Control. We get TDM. Bye-bye arenas. LTM mixtape. I mean, I honestly, I'm sad I liked arenas. Everyone who knows me knows I liked arenas, but you know what? Fuck it.
Arenas
TDM.
Arenas felt good on its face. In the grand scheme of things, it failed for me.
I think I would like if arenas come back to mixtape. That's really cool though, by the way, the fact that we got Control and Gun Run now, that's going to switch things up every once in a while.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome. Let's go. TDM is a nice warm up. I'm all good for it.
Yeah. If you're going to bring back an arenas and mixtape, do some fun stuff with it. I would say don't bring back just base arenas. Do something different, do something spicy with it. If you're going to bring it back in mixtape, cuz then I'll try it.
Or something.
I'll give it a shot. If it's just like, oh yeah, it's just like vanilla arenas, I'm not gonna touch it. Is there any particular reason for moving arenas?
CS:GO Valorant.
I think it just wasn't popular.
Arenas just didn't hit the mark. I think.
I think a lot of people liked the idea initially, played it, and then went, this isn't it. And then my guess is the player base died, and they went, it's not worth it.
Still, let's say where it is. Respawn's done a really good job with this season, answering a lot of like long-standing problems from the community between the ranked rotating maps and now the LTM mixtape. Those are 2 huge big ones. Yeah. And we're probably never ever going to talk about it specifically as a topic, but they even went back, the devs, in an interview here recently. They literally, even with the heirloom, with the PK, where they recolored it, and people were all up in arms. They literally came out and said, yeah, that was a fucking mistake. They literally, in an interview, were like, yeah, that was a mistake. We're going to try different things because, I mean, we thought people would be excited. We thought it might be a move. Didn't work out.
Yep.
Probably the numbers also didn't back it either in terms of the little, So that's it. We don't even have to think about that anymore.
Yeah.
Shit's goated.
This season, pretty much
go.
W's across the board. Team deathmatch is dope. That's like other than some of like the quick events that like I'll play a couple of games with you. A lot of the just straight battle royale events I'm never that interested in.
I love it.
Team deathmatch is great, especially because it's going to be like a mode that I want to play to warm up. Right. Every time I get on, I'll play a team deathmatch game, loosen up before we jump in. That's great. Class changes pretty much just great all across the board. Ranked adjustments are awesome. Lot of things to love. And I'm definitely, season 16 starts, bro, I'm on that rank grind. We're playing. I'm going to drag your ass into Discord every night with you. I don't care. Let's hit on roster moves and Pro League qualifiers.
Pro League qualifiers.
Where do you want to start on this one?
I will say I'm way more knowledgeable about EMEA right now in terms of roster changes.
Sure.
Let's talk about the cat or the elephant in the room, I guess, that I brought up at the very beginning of stream. It's been an hour.
Okay. Yeah. Give me the sauce.
Apparently, so first off, right off the bat, for J-Lings, even though they had what was going after their first turn up to this, props to them. That's it for Zane, I'm pretty sure. Zane is no longer part of the J-Lings roster. Damn. And there is very minor.
Wait, and after that 1v6, bro, Zane went off.
Right. There is very minor speculation right now that he, after what is now Amphi, just a few days ago, dropping off of E6. No, Amphi, also crazy. The fact that we go Amphi 9th place in the world, first 3 months with the roster, no longer part of E6. I mean, there's some speculation that Zane might be joining Element 6 here.
That would be hit. That would be sick. I like it. So, Zane was
deal.
Crazy.
Huge.
I was buying Zane's stock like you would not believe after that game.
Props.
That was nuts. Okay. Any other EMEA ones that you want to hit on
those are the two big ones because that is like the Pro League teams for sure.
Sure.
Obviously, we saw the whole mix up with Horizon Union and Passion, and that's been something behind the scenes. What happened with Scars? I can't tell you what happened with Scars. I know what happened with Scars, and I'm excited, but I swore an oath, so I can't tell you.
Maybe we'll talk about it
Haraka Yuchako and Sanya now playing together on 2R1C. That's huge. Bitfix Gaming and Corpa have combined officially. Little Max is now with Zephyr and Trix. Just tell us they're not leaving EMEA. My God.
He's not gonna touch that one.
Mr. Arthur back on that roster. Bardo and Zuni, after shitting the bed on Echo Esports, who I had all the praise in the world to say, they're back with their original IGL, Mr. Arthur, that led that team to super success during the offseason before Split 1. That's huge. That's really huge. Project Armor leaving EMEA. No more Project Armor. 789 is back to being 789. Nemesis is back. Holy shit, Nemesis from year 2. They are now back in EMEA. Kinda Clone and ASCII are playing together. Dope from them. Katana Gaming has picked up a roster for Pro League Qualifiers. That's legit.
Just running down the list. I love it. You're like, I don't have much more. Hold on. Here's 10 more moves.
I'll be honest. Yeah, I've definitely been as someone who's had to put together a tournament for the last week, I've had to talk to all these teams and have to hear about how they have new players and new rosters and new.
Hey, so I'm here for it.
Is the Start a Fight thing announced yet? Is Start a Fight? Did they announce Start a Fight? Can I announce that without spoiling, leaking? Did they announce who their new rosters?
Find out. I've been seeing the roster drops.
Did they announce the actual new roster? Because we know who they're. Everyone kind
of. Light.
Yeah,
no,
they did February. Yeah, okay, Light and Locky. That was good. Light and Locky now part of Start a Fight. We knew that, right? They join on from LFO Forever. Hawachka's back down in Pro League Qualifiers, etc. Fucking awesome, guys. EMEA. What's going on in North America? Do you remember?
Oh
my God, Oxygen.
So the thing about North America is a majority of the moves already happened, because especially when you see the success that North America had, 8 teams going to finals, a lot of those teams probably not going to make a lot of moves. They're feeling good. They're going to keep things rolling. So we've already covered a majority of the moves on this show that have happened in North America. The 2 big moves, though, are one, Crook stepping away from Oxygen.
Damn, dude.
Crook put out a little tweet longer.
That's crazy.
Basically said no hard feelings. I get it. Hill and Enemy deciding to part ways and look for a new third. Of course, they just fully announced that they're looking for one today. That's going to be huge. I I love that team. You know, we got to meet them and
Oh
see them play
man,
in person,
we
right,
were
in
there in
Philly.
person with that team.
That was the first event for Enemy when they were still under AP and playing together. Crook's great, you know, soft spoken guy, but really, really, really nice dude, really talented player. Bummer to see them breaking up, especially because it was so cool to see Hill and Crook reunited on that team when Hill came back. But I think Crook kind of feels like a under the radar, like huge free agent in North America. I think
Oh
Crook could actually
God,
be
yes.
a
Dude just
great piece
went to playoffs.
on a Pro League roster, you know, on a team looking for a third. Like, I think Crook is a wonderful pickup and possibly one of the most underrated free agents in North America this split. The other one is Phony leaving Esports Arena and Kimchi as well. Both of them stepping into free agency. Of course, the conversation has been very heavily around, you know, the rumors that Phony
Phase.
and Luda might be going to Phase to join Snipedown. Those rumors have been swirling for like 3 to 4
Literally
weeks
a
at this
month.
point. As a huge Phony fan and somebody who's been watching him since you know, season 2 of Series Z back on Pringles when he was playing with Fury and Presley, right?
Right.
I would love that. I think, in my opinion, Phony is the best IGL to come out of Series Z, period, and top 3 player. I think you can make an argument between him and Skittlecakes for maybe number 2. I think Verhulst is definitive number 1. I would currently have Phony as number 3. But I think Phony is so good. I was really impressed with what ESA did at champs or at playoffs. A bummer that they kind of fell apart in finals. I think there's certainly some criticism to be laid at their feet there because they had a great first game and then they were pretty invisible for the rest of the day. But I think Phony is super sick. I would love to see Phony go to Phase and play with Snipe. I think that would be sick. I think the only question there is, do they co-IGL? Does Snipe just want to give the reins to Phony and just be like a gun? Who knows? But I think that would be sick.
Speaking of Skittlecakes, Optic changes with Dupe.
Oh, yeah, that might have happened between our last
Dropped.
show and now. Yeah, they did part ways. And the rumor is that Dropped is going to join them, and that's what a lot of the discussion around around SSG was going into the tournament. Why it was the last dance, because everybody knew that they were breaking up.
You know what's sad?
What?
The complexity one. Monsoon. That's a really shame.
Yeah.
Because Monsoon's such a great guy.
Monsoon is great. And
dude, I love Monsoon. I love Monsoon in person. Monsoon is a genuine treasure.
Yeah.
That dude is so fun to talk to.
Yeah. Monsoon is an absolute homie. Yeah, that just got announced the other day. An interesting Monsoon saying not opposed to an analyst or coach role.
Yep.
For the right offer for the right team, which is
after seeing him on the desk during playoffs, dude knows his shit.
He was
dude
great.
Knows his shit.
He was great.
I also know my shit. You can put me on that desk. I'll do the exact same thing.
Yep.
But dude knows his shit, and that was really, really enjoyable to watch and really cool.
Yeah, I think that would be really interesting. So very curious to see what happens in North America. A lot of things yet to be decided on that front, but I think that's going to be pretty.
I'll be honest, in
cool.
terms of like the strengths of these roster moves, there's nothing that particularly stands out to me as like, oh wow, this is like the fucking move for this team. They're gonna go to like champs now, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing like that yet. There's definitely some big moves taking place here, but it's definitely more of the like, this is a middling of the pack roster who now might get the chance to compete against that upper kind of 10th through 8th place if they mesh well enough.
Yeah.
Because like you look at TSM, NRG, XSET, right? Guard. Those guys are still going to be like the upper end of those rosters. A small little thing. Guard shit the bed during playoffs a little bit. Little shame there.
Yeah. Guard definitely did not perform to expectations. I think is a pretty
in the end
pretty easy way to put it there. Yes. Unfortunate, especially because I think Zephyr and I were both big time like on the guard hype train. They did make it to finals, right? They had a third place game close to the end of the day, but they were pretty quiet for the first 5 games, right? 20th,
Yeah.
15th, 20th,
Really rough.
6th, 19th. They didn't get it done. That's for sure. So hoping they can recapture that Rambo magic and perform similarly in Split 2 and get another shot at an international land, because they underperformed expectations, and I think the expectations weren't unreasonable. So let's talk PLQ. Hit me with your PLQ sauce, my friend.
Okay, let's see. EMEA. You're gonna hear a lot of the same names that I just did.
Do it.
It's really weird because it's like EMEA right now is going through such heavy roster changes that I think we have like a lot of slots.
Sure.
Like, we have a lot of slots. Like Bitfix and Corpa just combined. That's one slot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Turkish Stars are going to be holding on to their roster. Scars is clearly something. Moving on. Like, I think we're talking about almost upwards of like 10, 11 slots available, which is huge because obviously you have names like, Three Muppets, Phoenix Legacy, Ike Mangot, right? And Bitfix, who are like more of the surefire end to maybe requalify. But there's a huge chunk of these really competitive CC teams that everyone's like watching. Like, is 789 going to get back into Pro League? They deserve it, right? After what was a very long and excruciating process to do it. Is some nobodies or new children like from nowhere and Kella Gaming gonna get that like opportunity after what being those winners? Maybe some fan favorites who have been around for a really long time, like UTFT, right? Outplayed, who have been here before. Rats, who are going to be competing. Personally, the only team I'm like confidently looking at that isn't already in Pro League that I know for a fact is going to perform well is 789.
Yeah.
I for sure. I want a team like UTFT to do well, but even that's a bit of a toss up. So we will see, but it's definitely interesting to look at.
Yeah, I would say on the North America front, it's a bit of a toss up. Teams that I kind of have my eye on would be like Void. I'm really interested if they can make things happen.
Yep.
I know with the timeline
We've known them
around
for
like
a long time.
Yeah, right. With the timeline around the Rewired event and stuff, they actually kind of shot themselves in the foot in terms of qualifying for Split 1. Didn't finish the job there. Definitely want to see what they can do. Randoms is a team that I wish I was excited for, but I'm just like, I'm not a Crummy fan from the perspective of just his play. Like, I think Crummy is an entertaining dude. He can be fun. He can be a little toxic, but like, we need that, every once in a while. Like, I got no hate for the guy, but like from a play perspective, I look at this roster. I'm like, damn, you got Enemigo? Hell yeah. You got Mercy Only? Okay. You got Crummy? I'm just like, I wanted a second name that I was like really excited about on that team, and I didn't get it. So randoms, I don't know, but they've got that's a very experienced roster with a lot of history. So like they could make some noise. Buff Pathfinder, solid roster. Bursty, Ronnie, Dracos. That's a team that could make some noise. Yep. Team Diverge. That's a team that could get something done. Definitely have my eyes on them. Blackhand, the new Blackhand roster is interesting with Yasto, Kodagami, and Voltic. I think is pretty cool. That's a team I have my eye on. And of course, do have to hit on Porcupine mentioning in chat, DivQ joining Elevate with Presley and Golden. That's definitely a team to keep an eye on.
Huge roster.
Also SCS. Can't miss SCS, Senox, Crust, and Slayer. That's definitely a team to keep an eye on. But like in terms of the teams that got knocked down from Pro League, right? We have 7 of them, I think. Slept on, not really buying that high on. Smiley, no. Carsuno, no. Bots, not really. Though I like the Stunny edition there. So for me, it's really just like SCS and Elevate. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if those are the only 2 teams that requalify. Maybe Drug Free, Impulsive,
maybe
Saucer and Ashura, but we'll see. We'll see.
What do you think about TSM having a female roster? This is something we also wanted to talk about.
Yes. Oh, perfect time. Yep. Very dope. Very dope.
Props.
Ava, friend of the show. She carried me to plat once.
She did.
She's dope.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
We played ranked that one night with Ava. I remember that. Okay.
Ava's great. She's
Ava's hilarious.
funny as hell. She's really good at the game. Love that. Girl, and it was Ava, girl, and Janie, right?
Janie, Ava, Sabs, and girl
And
now
Sabs.
officially
That's
as well.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, super cool. Love TSM doing that. Of course, unfortunate that like things are a little wonky with like Ava looking for a team because some of the members don't want to play ALGS or whatever, but still like just them
Sabs
having
in Europe has a team already, Phoenix Legacy.
Yep. But like them having 4 women content creators and players in the organization competing under the TSM banner is awesome. I'm a big fan of it. I think it's super cool. And I wish them the best. And I'm super psyched for Ava. Like I think that's so cool.
Super cool opportunity.
Yes.
Especially for being, 17, etc.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, early start.
What am I thinking of? Yeah, super dope. It's a shame that like there is no like easy like, oh, there's a slot for them going into either Challenge Circuit or Pro League or anything like that. But I'm just happy that TSM is supporting this, and this also influences potentially other teams to start doing the same, to start looking at creators on any end of the spectrum, whether it be a FIBA career, maybe a BIPOC, etc. Right? Do something. Especially if you have the way how to do so and you want to support something like that. So very excited. Obviously, girl's been a huge part behind the scene of Apex for a very long time.
Well, and in the front too, right? Not just behind the scenes. She's been all over the place.
Oh yeah, literally was part of the casting roster for a long time too. And then JSA, obviously in a lot of the women's circuits across the board have been literally the most dominant. So super strong there. Scars roster, can't say.
Yep, can't say.
I can't tell you fuckers.
Do you want to touch that message from Mock right there?
Hal said some players took Adderall in LAN. Your take on the topic? Drugs bad. Zephyr is very strict about drugs. If you remember this, Y4SO.
I don't know. I don't know. Is that just in the context of like Adderall as a quote? Oh, really? All right. Well,
I know.
We'll educate Zephyr off stream, guys. We'll base him up later. Ultimately, it is
doping in a way.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not going to argue against that. Not even really my take. I do not have enough of an understanding of the actual effects of Adderall from the perspective of esports. Couldn't tell you. It's not something that I've like read up on as much as maybe I should have. And from like a performance enhancing perspective, I get it. Yeah, I would need to do more research on the topic. Ultimately, I would prefer that like if you don't need Adderall for a condition that you have, I would prefer people not be taking it just from the perspective of like one's health. Is like I would rather we are at a point where people aren't doing it, but I would need to understand more about it before I really have like a definitive take from like the performance enhancing perspective. And I know it's something that's been talked about for a while. It's been talked about heavily in like the Call of Duty space is somewhere where it comes up a lot. But ultimately, I would just say, just look after your health, folks. And drugs are drugs, man. People do drugs. Let's just have the care, the health care and stuff to support people and make sure that they're okay. That's my take. I don't have enough from a competitive perspective to say.
Fuck you. Don't take Adderall unless you need it. There you go.
Not even necessarily a bad take.
All right. Is Scars good to go for Split 2 then? Yes. Scars is good to go for Split 2. There you go.
Let's talk Apex Mobile before we hit Q&A. If you guys have any more questions, get them prepped now. We'll be hitting them here momentarily. Yes. Apex Mobile is getting sunset here pretty quickly, and it lasted what? Did it last less than a year?
Yeah. I still remember them at Champs. No, yeah, it's less than a year. Less than a year by far.
May
I still
1st,
remember them
2023.
at Champs,
Mhm.
literally peddling it, saying like, "You
Oh my
guys got
God.
phones?
People,
Download
you guys
Apex
got phones.
Mobile."
Bro, people were so annoyed by that. Like, people were hyped to have Apex Mobile, but they were like, everybody at Champs was like, bro, shut the fuck up. Like,
I
we
remember
don't
that.
care.
Dude, it was crazy. It sucks.
Mhm.
I'm not surprised. Like this is a two-way street. I don't think EA was super strong on supporting Apex Mobile. They wanted to see if it in its kind of own momentum would take off. But then on the other end of the spectrum, I also think between the player base and the game itself and what was provided, it wasn't really that great. I don't know how much support and how much advertising and tournaments. I don't know how much of what you can do
Mhm.
put that game on the forefront. It just seemed, I don't know, it was like doomed from the start almost. Had a really poor release cycle,
Mhm.
developer updates and all that kind of stuff really started to slow down. Fixes and whatnot were super duper duper slow. But there is a lot of stuff that I'm proud to see. Like there were a lot of really good ideas. From the perk system to the well and more fleshed out arena for practice, for all that kind of things, aim resisted, whatever, blah blah blah. I mean, it had its place. I'm sad, like you said, the legends aren't going to be part of it. Fade, Rhapsody, those were actually, I think, two really cool, unique legends to be a part of the mobile game. Um, it's a shame that they're not. They're currently EA said there's no plans to port any of that over. But yeah,
Yeah. I'm going to try and give them the benefit of the doubt here. It is certainly possible that they haven't necessarily made firm decisions on it yet, and they're just maintaining of it like oh, there's no plans right now, so that people aren't jumping
yeah.
down their throat. Like, because if you come out and
If you
say
say it,
it's
then they're gonna
possible,
be
if you
like,
come out and
"Where
say
is it?"
like, hey, it might happen, or we're considering it, like, you might just get relentlessly hounded until it happens, and then maybe you say, oh, it didn't end up working, and then people are disappointed. That is certainly possibly the approach that's coming here. So my hope is that they are trying to look at everything that they did differently with Apex Mobile from the legends, the other systems that you're talking about, and trying to understand, does any of this fit in the actual mainline title? Does any of this make sense to pull over? If it does, but we've got to make some changes. What changes do we need to make? And then they'll come out and say, hey, we're actually bringing this over. If that is a strategy, awesome. Because I think at the very least, they should be taking a good hard look at all of that content and trying to understand what actually makes sense to port over. But if they've looked at it already and they're like, yeah, basically none of it's coming, I think that's an L. And this is coming from someone who literally has not played a single minute of Apex Legends Mobile. I did not download it. I basically never touch mobile games.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because for
I
me,
get
it's
it.
just like, I'm either, if I want a game, I'm going to sit at my desk or I'm going to sit at my TV and play. If I'm not there, I almost never want to play a game. I'd rather watch YouTube. And I've never found a game on mobile that either didn't have a version on PC or console that I could just play and felt better, or there were just more entertaining games for me to play elsewhere. So I am not a mobile game enjoyer, but I do feel bad for the Apex Legends mobile community, and that's a bummer.
Honestly, didn't know they dropped the rule confidently. And it's a shame. I actually know I personally, when it kind of like jumped right out of the bin, I knew Ice Stream and Sanjo, Sono, right? Sono.
Yeah, you know him really well.
Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. No, I mean, it definitely, like, TSM elicited really strong support towards those two
Yeah,
creators. And obviously, I always am looking to cover more and more Apex. Literally, I casted the first Apex mobile tournament
that is
right
true.
off the
I
bat.
remember
I
that.
casted alongside Tribe.
Yep.
Tribe Gaming. I casted the first Apex mobile tournament. And going to be one of the few people in the history of the world to ever do it. Anyways.
Not a long list. Congrats.
Yeah. Crazy to see them go, and it feels bad because I know those guys, and they're both super dedicated to their craft in the mobile space, and it's a shame that they got their chance to fly and then had their wings kind of ripped away from them, and I mean, it was that close.
Q&A. Folks,
Q&A.
Anything we missed that you want us to hit on, any questions that you have, drop them in Twitch chat right now. If you are watching this recorded, whether it's on my YouTube channel or on one of the many podcast platforms that our show goes out on, and you want your questions answered, make sure to come in Thursdays, 12:30 p.m. Pacific time at twitch.tv/ZephyrCast, and you can have us answer your questions live. Zeph, thoughts on Vexed shitting the bed in playoffs? That was quite possibly my singular biggest disappointment of this event. I bought into the Vexed hype train big time, partially because of their performance in Split 1, also partially because I host the show with Zephyr on a weekly basis, and he is the biggest Vexed simp on the planet, justifiably so.
I literally have two jerseys in transit right now.
That was huge. I am gonna give them the benefit of the doubt to the extent this was an outlier and not something to expect from them coming forward, but I do need to see that. For me, Vex needs to make it to the next LAN, and they need to make it to finals. For me, if Vex doesn't do that, I'm selling all Vex stock, and I feel like that's a pretty long.
Fair.
I feel like that's a pretty long leash I'm giving them. So
that's fair.
Yeah.
I think, let's be honest, when it comes to Vex, really, really close. Like, for a roster that was their first iteration together in the first split, I think they did really, really well. Let's be honest, though, it's Tyler in Unlucky's first time at LAN.
Yep.
Which definitely had its influences. I think in terms of their play style and the way they approach the game, I think EMEA elicits a lot more success than when you put them on an international level. They aren't allowed to get away with a lot of the aggression that they are for. And so it's definitely a shame to see. Obviously, I fucking love those guys. I love the crew behind Vexed. And obviously you talk about Levy Arnett, the coach behind the team, Loopy, as some of you may know him in the Apex scene. Dude only had like 20 days to like really start breaking it down with the roster, and
sure.
I think it's a super good learning experience. Let's be honest, we just watched Ascend go from the shit the bed performance of 20th and last place in champs to now third best in the world. There's always the potential for improvement, and I know that Vexed has one of the best support systems in EMEA, in Apex as a whole. I think those guys, now that they've got that under their belt, they've seen what success feels like, they've seen what it feels like to be at London, to be a part of that environment. I think they'll have their wits about them this next time around.
Yeah. I was very bummed because I was very excited for Vexed. And I do think that, who was it? Cyberista saying the team won't survive another bad performance at LAN. I don't even think that's like a bad point. Like, I think you are very correct on that. So we'll have to see. But definitely, like, the microscope for me personally on Vexed, big time this split, because they need to show me that, and I don't think it is currently, but they need to show me that first split was not an anomaly, their performance in EMEA, because their performance on LAN points to that as a possibility to a certain extent. So we'll have to see. We hit that.
Thoughts on Singularity getting looked down by other pros? I mean, no pro or competitor should be quote unquote looking down on another team based on any kind of, right? I know South America is super, I would say, kind of rough in where they're at right now and it really is just Singularity, like the very fleeting embers of Godfire slowly finding their way in.
Yeah.
See from Kick, LNW, and the rest, right? It's a shame. I really hope. I know they posted on Twitter about some people kind of like basically acting that way towards them, but no one should. No matter what kind of performance you have, for fuck's sake, Singularity did better than more than half of the
Singularity made it to
teams there.
fucking finals, man. Had a second place in a third place game in finals.
That's a great team. That's a great roster. And the fact that just because they're part of the quote unquote weakest region, I mean, I think that's terrible.
They were 5 points behind Fnatic in finals and 10 points behind an Onyx team that showed the fuck up in finals. Like, and they battled through the losers bracket. Like, there's reasons to be, to be like, damn, Singularity kind of struggled early on, but they fucking got into finals, and they outperformed fucking ESA, bro. They outperformed Guard in finals, Dark Zero. Only by a single point. They still beat Dark Zero. So I don't know. I think you're talking down on Singularity.
It's a shame that exists, but
I don't know. I don't know what you're watching. They showed up. They showed up, and good on them.
Do Aurora and FB still have a chance to travel to London? I don't know. That's a visa process left up behind the scenes. I would hope now that we know for a fact that London is going to be a part of this, and the fact that we can kind of track teams a little bit earlier on, that they get the opportunity to go this time around. But I mean, it's not on me to figure that out. It's not. That's like we're talking months in advance.
Do you have something to say about the specific Legends buffs, like Mirage, for example, or Wraith? I have actually not seen. Do you know what these buffs are? I have not seen these direct Legend buffs. Talk to me.
So Mirage gets probably one of the coolest buffs. When you do that revive invisibility passive, for the next 3 seconds after you are back up, you are completely invisible until you pull your weapon out. So a little bit of survivability. And then whenever you shoot a Mirage clone, instead of actually Mirage, your position is revealed to the enemy team.
Okay. That is a nice Mirage buff. Is Mirage and the target he reses invisible, or is it just Mirage?
Yes, both.
Wow, that's
both.
That's actually a sick buff.
It's very cool.
Okay, I love that. I probably won't play Mirage, but he might get played, which is cool.
Wraith buff's awesome. Double distance on the portal.
Double distance on portal. Okay.
Yeah, really strong.
That is
I think that's good. I think for two legends that are part of Skirmisher, if I'm correct, once again putting them a little bit more in a stronger spot to balance out the weaker passive and all that too. Put them back in the meta.
And it's also a buff, but it also isn't just like a straight buff, because the one thing you get alongside that, because so many wraiths now, right, are you start your portal, you start running, as soon as you're under any sort of threat, right, you hit a shot, you hit your Q. You run through the queue, and then hopefully by that time you're within 5 to 10% of the portal being at its end, and you drop it. Now, if you want to get that full portal length, you're vulnerable for longer, possibly, right? You're possibly in the open longer to try and get that extra value out of your portal. So I think that's actually a really cool buff that isn't just like a straight, like, damn, Wraith is just stronger now. Like, there's a little bit more counterplay, because she's possibly spending more time vulnerable while trying to ult for her team. So I think that's actually a really cool buff. Does Sen surprise everyone with that third place, or was it expected? I think they surprised some people. I don't think it should be as much of a surprise. Is where I'm at.
I think Ascend is definitely one of the strongest teams, and clearly at this point the strongest team in EMEA. They were the most winningest coming out of the split, and then they showed up during finals.
Yeah.
I don't think it's surprising that they did it. I don't think people expected it though.
Yeah. I think, unfortunately, Ascend gets an asterisk on the best team in EMEA through no fault of their own. And I think it's simply because we didn't get to see Aurora on land.
Right.
And I think that is not Ascend's fault. And it's a bummer,
just as
because I think they just could have definitively done it if Aurora was there, but it is what it is. But I think Ascend definitive top 2 best, right? You can argue between them and Aurora, but they're
teams do you think will adapt to the sheer scale of changes in season 16 will bring to Pro League? I'll tell you the real answer to that: the teams with the best coaches.
Yeah,
teams with the best coaches and the analysts.
Yeah.
Not so much the best players, because the best players can make this kind of stuff work, truly. But you have to have your Ravens. You have to have your Svens behind the scene. Your Svens, your Ravens, your goes to show how many coaches there's not.
Yeah.
Your Loopies, right? So, I think the best coaches will dictate what teams do the best.
I agree. Because outside of that, I think the changes are so sweeping and so drastic that it's like hard to hammer down what will change that. But talking about like a good coach or analyst whose job it is to figure these things out and answer these questions feels like exactly where you want to be.
Is Olympus gone forever? No.
No.
I think it's still around.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's still around.
How many slots does NA get extra for next LAN since they perform well? NA is getting one additional slot.
Yeah.
One additional slot. Moving to the so coach imagine talking about this coach not mentioned Hodsick. Oh yeah, fuck dude. Hodsick's gonna beat my ass for that. I literally take photos with that man and talk to him on his stream.
Wait, what happened?
Literally wearing a TL jersey right now.
Oh, what? Because you said teams with a Raven as opposed to like teams with a Hodsick?
No, I said teams with a Raven, a Sven, etc.
Yeah,
Forgot Hodsick.
You didn't name Hodsick, yeah. Hodsick's goated.
Hodsick's really goated.
I mean,
Hodsick's really good.
I think it's hard to argue against Hodsick being the best coach in Apex. I think rightfully so. There's a lot of love and spotlight on Raven, and deservedly so right now. But I think you have to look at the longevity. I think you have to look at the longevity of Hodsick. And this is coming from the TL hater, remember?
Fair. I would say the impacts of what Raven did with where the roster was at and then where it got to was more impressive than I think.
From best team in the world to best team in the world.
I'll say this. Let's say this.
Not that there weren't changes that needed to be made and there was always room for growth, but like, let's be clear.
Let's say full spectrum of time. I think Hodsick is the greatest. If we're talking about this recent split recently, I think Raven. Raven was better Hodsick by far.
No argument. No argument there.
Then I think we're on the same page.
If we're giving coach of the split, Raven. No question. I'm talking holistically.
Okay, Hodsick.
The best coach we have had in Apex history, I think it's Hodsick, no question.
Hodsick.
But I don't I think Raven could very quickly put himself in the conversation, dude. Right? Like I think Raven needs a little bit more on the resume, but not that much.
I'm going crazy. Who's winning NA Pro League Qualifiers and deserves a spot in Pro League? We talked about
that. Yeah, we already hit on that.
Go watch the VOD.
Yeah, it was like SCS, Diverge, maybe Elevate was kind of who I had my eyes on for
789. Ike Meingot, I think is gonna do well.
There you go.
Kella, if they bring their shit and they play. A couple other ones, etc.
Yep.
What time are the actual times of EMEA Pro League qualifiers?
Hit them with it.
In America, it's going to be 6 a.m. Central Time, I'm pretty sure.
6 a.m. Central. Yikes.
Pro League qualifiers
I'm normally awake at that time, but I'm going to sleep quickly after that because that's 4 a.m. for me.
Just to say it.
Yep.
Pro League qualifiers, day one for each region is 2 best of 8s. You have winners bracket and losers bracket. And winners bracket, you have the 20 or the best or the Pro League teams going up against the best CC teams in 8 games. And then they get relegated down to losers bracket where the rest go up against the rest of the CC teams. And that goes for another 8 games. So that's 16 games total on day one.
Is it match point finals?
And then match point finals.
That is interesting. Because that sets up a team theoretically. It's unlikely to happen, but theoretically, you could get to 7 teams on match point because only 6 qualify. right?
It depends on the region.
But like, but for EMEA,
8 naturally qualify in each region. 8. I think EMEA right now is more like 10 or 11. 10 or 11 teams will be qualifying.
Oh yeah, because teams dropping out and things like that. And
there's definitely some heavy leeway in EMEA.
Sure.
North America, I think, still like 8.
I just think is interesting because you could technically get more teams on match point than there are spots in spots to qualify for in Pro League. And theoretically, you could have those teams at the, if there's 8 spots, 9 teams are on match point, and that 9th team can win and jump over everybody. I think is really interesting.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Pro League Qualifier is going to be a lot of stake. Big things to keep an eye on there.
I will say, Porcupine, there's so many roster changes behind the scenes right now in EMEA from what I've seen and a lot of the drama that's occurring, that there is going to be more slots than 8. I'm pretty sure than 9 than that. I mean, hold on. Let me just do the math. Literally look at it right now because I have all this shit from the Zephyr Showdown and the teams have already told me what's going on with their rosters.
Hit me with it. I think this will be it. While Zephyr looks this up, I will hit you guys with the big thank you for watching the show. As always, if you missed any of the show, it's going to be up on my YouTube channel tonight, as well as on your favorite podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc. So make sure to check it out. We appreciate your continued support. Follow Zephyr and I on Twitter, especially if you want updates on when we're going live. Typically Thursdays, 12:30 p.m. Pacific time, but sometimes we may skip a week here and there. So keep an eye out on that. But we appreciate your continued support and your patience here as we took a little bit of a break. Zephyr, do you have any final deets here before we wrap the show?
I think there are 10 spots in EMEA.
There you go.
And the majority of those 10 spots are going to be held by Challenger Circuit teams, not by Pro League teams, because I don't think there's a lot remaining anymore.
Then there's that.
Pretty sure there's only... yeah, something. All right.
Any final thoughts, sir, before we head on out of here?
Thank you to everyone for tuning in today to watch the Hot Zone.
Woo.
Zephyr Showdown.
Yes.
The very first Zephyr Showdown. This is the tournament that I'm running. The $12,000 circuit. The first qualifier for the Zephyr Showdown takes place tomorrow. 1 p.m. Eastern Time. 7 p.m. CET. 6 games of great European talent casted by yours truly and a special guest. Well, a guest.
It is not me.
It is not Y4SO.
It is not me. I will not be on the show tomorrow.
Yes. Get your ass out there and support the Zephyr Showdown. I'm spending a lot of fucking money to make the Zephyr Showdown happen. And if you like Europe... time. Yeah, it's lots more time. Jesus Christ. If you like EMEA and you want EMEA to survive and extend further and have these great rosters continue playing.
Already? Let's go.
Who do you think I am?
Let's go. Bog. Fuck, now I have to subscribe to your fucking Twitch. God damn it.
Get your ass
Somebody
in
gift
Discord.
me a sub. Somebody gift me a sub to Zephyr's Twitch. I don't want to give this dude money.
Which teams will be on? I'm literally telling you right now, tomorrow you may not see every single EMEA team, but in terms of the overall tournament in the first month of February, I can confirm that if a roster hasn't disbanded or gone through some shit here in EMEA, every single team in EMEA is competing in the Zephyr Showdown. Woo! All of them. All 40.
Why is Zephyr yelling at me?
All of them. Alliance, they'll fucking be there. They won't be there tomorrow. They'll be there later. KCP, they're going to be there. E6, they'll be there at some point. Ascend, they'll be there. Horizon Union, start a fight. Dude, like, I could just go down the list.
There's this wonderful catch-all term called all.
All. The entire Pro League and then some. Passion?
Correct.
They're going to be there. They're fucking there.
All right. That's going to do it for us, folks.
If they're going to be there, that means you got to be there.
That is true. That is true. Go support my mans tomorrow. Is it going to be here? Stream here? There you go. So stream right here. So if you aren't following and subscribing, do it right now. And if you are already subscribed, give me a subscription so I can have the email. That's it. 11 episodes, folks. The Hot Zone, your favorite spot for everything going on in competitive Apex. We appreciate the support. We appreciate the love. Thank you for coming out to watch. That's going to do it for us, folks. For Y4SO and Zephyr, have a wonderful Thursday, and we will see you all later.